This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carranante.
Welcome to the Yankees Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carranante. The American League Silver Slugger finalists have been revealed. The Yankees dominated them. Is that good? In a way, yes. In another way, yeah, I mean, of course, the regular season award. We're all over that. We'll talk about it. Plus, Cody Bellinger, Kyle Tucker, some insiders, some team analysts. Can't understand why one side would want the other one. Beat writer fight, offseason beat writer fight. What else is there to do on a Thursday in the middle of October? Trey Savage is getting named the Game 1 starter. Trey Savage in the minor leagues until September is getting named the Game 1 starter in the World Series. New York Yankees sitting at home, chilling, watching either their division rival win the World Series or the team that beat them around last October to take home the victory. So we're talking about a beat writer fight. They're talking about rookies grabbing the ball in Game 1 of the Fall Classic. And check out the ticket prices in Toronto. Not low. They're excited. I'd be excited too. I like baseball. I like when my team's in the World Series. Bryce Harper back on the market, or at least not certainly a member of the Phillies on opening day. Has the ship sailed on that opportunity for the Yankees? Plus, an offseason move that we erased from the board a couple of episodes ago, now back on, and a fit for Devin Williams that made me laugh out loud. Thank you for joining us, 2 o'clock Eastern on a Monday or a Thursday. That's how you know the Yankees Go Yard podcast is on YouTube, and then right in your inboxes on your favorite podcast platform in the aftermath. I'm Adam Weinrib, and here with me is Thomas Carranante. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Here I am. Thank you very much. Silver Slugger's pretty cool. Guys, fan-sided, us, exclusively announced those in partnership with Louisville Slugger. Louisville Slugger rules, great folks over there. Really did us a solid having us announce these and create content around all of these. It was an amazing time. We created hundreds of articles, or we're on the path to create hundreds of articles across the fan-sided network. Did a bunch for Yanks Go Yard, had a lot of historical angles leading up to the announcement. And then when the announcement broke today for the AL finalists, we had some opinions. And just so you guys know, the voting process is by coaches, managers and assistant coaches. They submit their ballots. Those who are the ones who are choosing every position or every player at each position, the finalists. And, of course, the winners will be announced November 6th and 7th live on Baseball Insiders. If you're a fan of that podcast with Adam also, you can head on over there. It will be a great time and a big moment for Fansided and a big moment for Louisville Slugger. So we are pumped about all of this. It's been a great time. And, yeah, so we got 4 Yankees finalists. Aaron Judge, duh. Cody Bellinger, duh. Jazz Chisholm, duh. Ben Rice, cool. Look, it's beautiful, I think, to be a finalist for this award. I think that it speaks volumes to your ability to, one, last a 162-game season and put up the requisite numbers to be considered top 3 at your position. It's not an easy sport, as we've come to know. It is a grueling sport. The travel, the unrelenting schedule, the demands, playing in New York. Don't forget about it. The demands here are a little bit elevated and put a lot more pressure on the players. That said, this is a regular season award. I think that there's positives, right? We have good hitters. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But you can poke a hole a little bit in what the Yankees are doing with this team over the last few years. So we know the Yankees are built on slug. It's their famous thing. They've been built on slug since 2017, and it's kind of not really gotten us anywhere. I was looking at Aaron Judge's postseason stats again just to catch up on everything. They've gotten better, thankfully, after this year's postseason run, but it is crazy to see Aaron Judge, who's been in the playoffs every year except one since 2017. He doesn't have a single postseason award. No ALCS MVP, no World Series MVP, and I understand that would require getting to the World Series. They only got to one World Series, so you're not going to win any ALCS MVPs unless you hit 14 home runs and your team loses. Has that loser ever gotten the ALCS or NLCS MVP?
You're telling me that Judge didn't win the World Series MVP for his efforts last year? That's weird. I watched that World Series. I feel like he was pretty impactful ultimately. There have been, very few losers. Bobby Richardson won the MVP in the 1960 World Series that Bill Mazeroski walked off. Mm-hmm. That's like the only one I can think of, but I feel like there's a second one, and some commenter's going to get my ass here. But there's at least one.
Get him. Get his ass. But yeah, interesting. That's all. So where did I land with this? I am proud of my players for getting themselves in this position. I don't disagree with what Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman said. I think these guys fought all year. I think that they put everything they possibly could into the game, and they didn't get out of it what they had expected. Unfortunately, that was the outcome yet again. My ire, or my observation here, is directed at the organization, right? You build a lineup predicated on slug. You build a lineup predicated on striking out a lot. You build a lineup predicated on boom or bust, and here are the results. You get some regular season recognition, and then the boom or bust goes bust in the playoffs. The power goes away in the playoffs. The timely hitting goes away in the playoffs. The strikeouts increase in the playoffs, and you are going home early. So this is part of the Yankees machine that I am particularly upset with. You can have a good team that is able to last the season and is able to survive the rigors of 6 months of traveling and playing a ton of baseball, but it is a little bit harder, or a lot bit harder, as we've come to learn, to build a team that can do that and elevate their game in October. So the Yankees, I think, rely on the fact that we have a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are going to hit home runs. A lot of these guys are going to hit extra base hits. A lot of guys are going to walk. But it's just cumulative stats at the end of the day, because the cumulative numbers at the end of the season don't matter in October. The approach needs to change in October. The rising to the occasion needs to be more prominent in October. And we've only really seen that with Giancarlo Stanton on this team over the last 7 or 8 years. So I think that it goes in line with, look, Yankees getting recognition, Yankees in the news, 4 Silver Sluggers. People are talking about the Yankees, and that's what the Yankees want, and that's all they really care about. And if they're not winning World Series, in their opinion, then the next best thing is make sure we're making headlines, make sure people are talking about our sluggers, make sure people are talking about how our guys, most of our guys, or a lot of our guys, are considered the best at their position, and that's that. So that's where my disconnect is here. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, these guys were pretty undeniable too, except Ben Reyes. That was hard to. He's a utility guy because he played over 20 games at 2 different positions, and DH didn't count. He snuck over 29 at catcher, I believe, and it's in the 50s at first base. If he ever gets nommed here again, I bet it's as a first baseman or as a catcher. Wrinkle. I don't think he gets the utility anymore, or at least the Yankees have to figure out how to best use him. I don't like splitting his time between catcher and first base like that. And congrats on being this good after doing that, but it's a little wonky. Yeah, we're not sitting here hot taking, being like, having a bunch of Silver Slugger finalists is actually deeply shitty. And the Yankees also were a Team of the Year finalist. Top 3 there alongside the Mariners and Blue Jays.
Oh, yeah.
But again, the Mariners, the Blue Jays, those teams were in the ALCS. New York Yankees bowed out 1 round before that. And I would say that those other teams better embody what it means to be a Team of the Year. The Yankees were offensively dominant during the regular season, and that's how you earn this nomination. But it's ironic that they were matched up against, in the finalist spot, 2 teams that were more cohesive and went further in the postseason. Obviously, 51 more runs scored for the Yankees and the Blue Jays in the regular season, 274 homers. That's 36 more than the Mariners. So, like, yeah, of course that's going to earn you a nomination. That's what makes it an ironic nom. And that's just what makes the disconnect all the more frustrating, because theoretically, if you build up as many top tier sluggers as the New York Yankees have, that should fuel success in the, or at least more distinguished success than merely being one of the best teams every year, being around. You pair that with Fried, Rodon, Cam Schlittler, and the contributions from Heel and Warren. The Yankees had an above average rotation too, and they weren't really able to distinguish themselves from being a almost out of the playoffs wild card. Also ran in mid-August, stuck in kind of a dogfight in September. Late surge against a soft part of their schedule gets them to 94 wins, and that's great. But they got outlasted by the 2 other finalists, despite the overwhelming disparity in regular season offensive numbers. Jazz Chisholm, he's a Silver Slugger finalist. In the playoffs, had exactly 1 moment. on the base paths and exactly one moment at the plate. Glad he had both of those. Glad he hit the tie-breaking home run in ALDS Game 3, but did not provide enough. Ben Rice jolted them against the Red Sox in the playoffs, but was almost unplayable, much like Austin Wells was in 2024 by the end of this year's postseason. We had all that discourse early in the playoffs about how do you bench Ben Rice against a lefty? How do you take one of your best hitters out of the lineup? And then they kept him in the lineup against everybody from that point forward, and Connolly early put him to sleep. People put him to school. Like, Ben Rice has to go back and retake the test if he's going to be an everyday player next year. Aaron Judge, I mean, obviously, and he rolled into the playoffs on a heater, and he had his best postseason. Doesn't even cover it, really. He was pretty unstoppable, especially against the Blue Jays, especially after Game 1. Cody Bellinger had an iffy postseason. We know that. And the fact that he's in top 6 in the AL and the outfield, tough to break in, even with 6 finalists in the AL, really tough to break into that. But yeah, again, like these are guys who had great seasons. That's such a cluster. And but unfortunately for me, it groups the Yankees not with the Jays and the Mariners and the other heavily repped teams, but it groups them with the Kansas City Royals, a team that we faced in the playoffs last year that got a ton of Silver Slugger finalists this year. And you look at the way that the Royals racked up these nominations and you wonder, how did they not get a team nom? How were they not better overall? And they faced a ton of adversity in the rotation, but they still had a unit deep enough that they were able to run out Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. And when they lost people, they'd bring in Noah Cameron, and they were able to patch it together with above average talent in the rotation. And their nominees include Vinny Pasquantino at first base, Bobby Witt Jr., of course, last year's MVP runner-up, Salvador Perez behind the plate, and they got Michael Garcia in the utility spot. So like us, 4 individual nominees for the Kansas City Royals, and enough pitching talent that I think if you look at that roster, even if you look at how deep the depth chart had to go this year, you would say, well, that's a playoff team, or that team probably won the Central, right? They took a big step forward from 2024. Obviously had a worse regular season than the Yankees, but it's just as perplexing to me when you look at how much individual love they got, how little it came together. That's kind of the story of the 2025 Yankees. And there has been a lot of romanticizing of the 2024 Yankees recently, especially on Twitter. Viral tweet going around this week that was like, we should have, appreciated them more when we had a man or whatever. Juan Soto was Juan Soto, right? He had a spectacular offensive season. He hit a home run to send the Yankees to the World Series. You're not going to find me diminishing the competition in their bracket and saying, like, oh, they basically didn't even play the AL playoffs, the Royals and Guardians. Royals and Guardians were both good. They were the teams ahead of the Yankees. It was an easier path than the Yankees have had in other years in this regime. Probably the easiest path they have had. But still got to win 2 playoff series against 2 heavyweights who won 162 games, and they did it. They were in the AL Central, and, though last year's Guardians weren't as good as the 2017 Cleveland team that we beat, and, again, a web of, well, this, but that. If they faced who they faced, it's tough to beat who you face. You still have to do it. The Blue Jays were the 1 seed this year. Theoretically, you're expecting them to come out of the East, but watching the playoffs unfold, you weren't expecting them to get past the Mariners. You definitely weren't expecting it to happen at 2-0. They fought through it, and they did it. So I give the 2024 Yankees credit for that. But if you were there, all 162 last year, and you watched them, I think we're all the appropriate amount of nostalgic for last season. Yeah. It was a similarly flawed team with similarly great individual performances that put it together for a couple rounds and got embarrassed on the world stage when they advanced to the World Series. I don't think we didn't appreciate them. I think we appreciated them just fine. I think they accomplished a couple important tasks, didn't accomplish the last one. And I think that's how I view them. And that's how I view the 2025 team. And yeah, great individual performances, great Silver Slugger, finalist nods, not a team.
It's just like tweeting to tweet. Just, oh man, we should have appreciated them more. It's like, dude, first of all, this was a year ago.
The World Series is happening. Yeah. So people are tweeting like, oh, remember that thing? Yeah, we do.
Remember this, guys? This happened, 12 months ago. Oh my God. I truly believe that not a single Yankees fan took Juan Soto for granted for the 1 year, because remember, the moment he got traded to New York, everybody was saying, oh, well, good luck, because this is the only time you're going to have him. And we were like, okay, great. We're going to enjoy it. It's 1 year of Juan Soto that 27 other teams are never going to have Juan Soto on their team. So, yeah, we got it. We got it for 1 year. We're going to do all we can. I think that there was not enough pressure put on the organization last year, realizing that it was only one guaranteed year of Soto. It was Giancarlo Stanton finding his groove. It was Aaron Judge putting up another MVP campaign, and they stopped at the trade deadline. They drew a line in the sand and they said, we're not going any further than this because they wanted to preserve potential contingency plans for 2025 and for 2026. And that was the wrong move. Well, thanks, Stuff and Thangs. Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, the fact that the Yankees didn't, you should be sending these tweets to the front office. Brian Cashman should be getting the DM saying, oh, you should have appreciated it when you had it. The fans were as dialed in and as appreciative of everything in that moment. The Yankees deciding to cap their spending and stop their trade deadline moves is really what might have ruined this era, if I'm being quite honest. Because we talked about it the last few episodes. You're looking at the free agent market this year. You're looking at the trade market this year. You're looking at the looming lockout ahead of 2027. What are you going to do? If Brian Cashman's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat this time around, awesome. I don't doubt him. I think he's a shrewd guy. I think he's been around the business long enough. I think he's made a lot of good moves for this team.
It's funny that he had a good year too.
Had a really good year.
Yankees bow out of the playoffs. We're all angry. We're all embarrassed. Fire Boone, fire Cashman. And usually I'm like, right now, the best argument you can make for fire Cashman is just regime change because he actually had a really good year and justified his job.
Agreed. And I am firmly of the belief that there just needs to be a regime change. He's been here since 1998. Aaron Boone's been here we're closing in on a decade. The same result after same result after same result. I understand that it's hard to win a World Series, but you're watching your counterpart across the country do what the Yankees of yesteryear believe they could do, appearing in 5 World Series in 9 years. Am I asking for that? No. I think that's incredibly hard. I think what the Dodgers are doing are on another level, and I don't expect that out of any ownership group. I think that what they're doing is unique, and maybe some other teams should take note and get more investors in their organization so they could do stuff like this. But, Yankees should have probably been in 2 or 3 World Series since 2017, and you can reference the Astros cheating all you want. Yankees didn't hit in those series. So, the Astros might have won the game in between the margins, but if you score runs and they're stealing signs and also scoring runs, you just got to keep scoring runs, and they didn't do that. So, DM Brian Cashman the takes of we should have been more appreciative of the 2024 Yankees because that's the only party I think that should, or Hal Steinbrenner, better yet, if he was the one who implemented the financial cutoff with the Cohen tax and implemented the trade deadline cutoff with not wanting to move on from too many prospects. But if I was running the team last year, I am making impact acquisition after impact acquisition at the trade deadline and trying to preserve the little that I have that could maybe transform the future. But as we've seen, Yankees prospects don't typically pan out. It's a sad story. Most prospects don't pan out. How about that? I'm not going to criticize Yankees player development. That's not what today's podcast is about. No. Most prospects don't pan out. It's a numbers game. Very few do. So if you have ones that are valued by other teams, and you're on the cusp of a championship, trade them. Deal with it next year. I don't know.
I saw somebody tweet the other day well, it's an interesting trade. I don't even remember what mock trade it was. It was that's an interesting trade, but they'd have to give up Warren. I was like, give up Warren. Yeah, cool. Do it. Awesome. You have the pitching depth to give up Will Warren right now. You might have a great career here, elsewhere, what have you. If there's the right trade on the table to improve the offense or another area of need, I would surrender Will Warren. And then last year's rotation this year's was mostly a strength. They ran into some holes, and Carlos Rodon's going to start next year on the shelf. But the 2024 team that we all should have appreciated more, the rotation by the time we got to the playoffs was Garrett Cole working through elbow pain, Carlos Rodon, very, very good year in 2024. Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil, who were both guys who you were going 2 innings at a time, basically. Mm-hmm. Remember Luis Gil's ALCS start after they blew game 3? It was we can get him through 2 innings, that would be fan. Maybe he even faces 8 batters. It was like, that guy was in the rotation last year. He was the rookie of the year, but he was completely out of steam. So that's a team that should have been reinforced with an additional rotation member, maybe even 2 at the trade deadline. But I'm not Brian Cashman. Send Cash, send Hal your feedback saying we loved and appreciated and missed the 2024 team. Should have appreciated them more. The people in charge should have appreciated them a little bit more while they had them, I guess, because they did what they did. Stagnant trade deadline. We got to the end of the year, outclassed, overmatched in the World Series. That might be the best it gets. Sad. Let's go on to again, potential hats, rabbits and hats, what have you for the offseason. Yeah. It's going to be a weird one. There's a Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger beat writer fight.
Oh, yeah, let's go over this.
Andy Martino, not a beat writer per se, but analyst. It really embedded the Yankees front office and on SNY. Media and very connected to Brian Cashman and very connected to the leadership with the Yankees. He wrote the Cashman book, quite literally. And there's a way to say this, and this for me was not the way this deeply
this was crazy.
Because I'm not even a Kyle Tucker. I've said it on previous shows. I'll say it again. I think overpaying Kyle Tucker is what the Yankee haters want the Yankees to do, especially after the back half of the season that Tucker had in Chicago, where he was shielded from pressure and benched while dealing with a lingering injury. He's never led a championship team. He's been a very good player. He accrues WAR. He's a strong contributor. If you have Kyle Tucker on your team, you're better for having him. But it's a huge splash, and I'm a little concerned about the level of splash it would be and the level of player that matches and the fit on the Yankees roster. Again, if they did it, they'd win the offseason. Would they win the World Series? I don't know. But again, nuance. You get Kyle Tucker on your team, you're definitely like popping some champagne. You're excited to have him on your roster.
Yes.
It's complicated, and I am confused at anyone who just dismisses him outright. Like Andy Martino, who basically said, I can't understand why any Yankee fan would want Kyle Tucker over Cody Bellinger. I don't get it. I do not. Like Emmanuel Barbary was on the SMI show. He was like, Emmanuel made Andy Martino said, don't show me the stat pages. Don't show me Baseball Reference. Like, I don't understand. And Chris Kirshner from The Athletic came in and basically was like, one of these people is 31, one is 29, one has more offensive WAR than the other. Like, we're just sort of going case by case, being like, better at this, younger, better chance to be a superstar, take Aaron Judge's mantle. And Martino is just very dismissive, wouldn't hear it. Bellinger is more versatile. Bellinger was a great clubhouse fit and a great producer and a Silver Slugger finalist last year during his singular year in pinstripes. If Cody Bellinger comes back, I do not have a problem with it. I hope that the cost is between like 120 and 150 mil. If it's over 200, no chance. They shouldn't do that. They won't do that. I still think there's a more likely chance than not that Bellinger is on the team next year and beyond. We have to get ready for that. And it's not really a have to. It's a good situation. It's a good situation. It's a plan B being extended. But the fact that we've got two sides fighting over this and one just saying, I don't understand how a Yankee fan could want one over the other. Like, if you tell me you want Kyle Tucker over Cody Bellinger, I look at you and I say, yes, that does in a vacuum. Yeah, that does make sense. And maybe we'll get it. We probably won't. I don't think we'll be involved on Tucker. We haven't even been connected to Tucker since we tried to trade for him last year. He's probably a Dodger. This is probably a fruitless exercise. But I mean, if you tell me you want Tucker over Bellinger, I say, yeah, it sounds like you read the stats. I understand why you'd want that. I don't understand why this is the framing.
I think that what goes overlooked in a lot of these discussions is that you have people who are matter of fact, and they're like, this is the better player. You have to get the better player. And then you have people like us who have been beaten down by the Yankees organization, and we know exactly where they're drawing the line, what they are going to do, and where their limits are. So if you look at a free agent like Kyle Tucker, who is going to command top of market money, if we're to assume, John Heyman went on MLB Network and said, I don't know, probably $400 million. It's like, okay, like, does that sound like a contract the Yankees are going to give out? I understand they offered Juan Soto the money they offered Juan Soto. Juan Soto's a little bit different, in my opinion. He is he fit the Yankees lineup, I think, like a glove alongside Aaron Judge. And
Lou Gehrig, Aaron Judge's Babe Ruth, and Kyle Tucker would be the Earl Combs to Aaron Judge's Babe Ruth. Like a very good player, not part of an historic duo.
Yeah, well, but I think the bigger point there is that they got a taste of Juan Soto in the Bronx for a year. And what did he do? He got better. And I understand that was a lot of people say, oh, well, he should have got better. He's batting behind Aaron Judge, and it's not that easy. Like, we get critical of people, I understand, but like, just to be like, oh yeah, Juan Soto should have had a career year. He was hitting for it's like, no, it's hard to play here. The expectations are higher. He's dealing with questions about his future. He's in a completely new environment after being in an environment with the Padres that reports suggested he didn't like. So a lot of factors here, but he had the best year arguably of his career. And the Yankees saw that what he was capable of, especially alongside Aaron Judge, especially handling the New York market in the spotlight. And they said, yeah, here's $760 million. We liked what we saw, but this is the farthest we can go. And it didn't work out. Kyle Tucker, on the other hand, I talked about this before. Kyle Tucker was part of the Astros machine. I think that there is very much validity to that. You see some of the Astros players leave and not be better elsewhere. George Springer is one example. George Springer has not been nearly as good as he was with the Astros as he was with the Blue Jays. He's had a revival this year, which is great. I think that is, his postseason legend is coming back. All that stuff is, quotes, because we don't know what George Springer. Apparently, they're cheating at the Rogers Center, guys. So
I'm just saying it's not great.
Yeah.
Like it's great. He definitely did, but in my opinion, I'm not having a great time.
Yeah, no, it's not great for our mental health, but. So, if you look at just the longevity of that, he was significantly better on the Astros. The Astros were a better team than the Blue Jays over that span of time. You look at Carlos Correa, who just was never the same after he left Houston. I don't have any other examples off the top of my head, but Tucker is the latest one. He went to the Cubs, and he had a really good first 2.5 months, and then they were expecting him to be the man. I think this is the problem with potentially offering him this much money. He had a 1-year audition to be the man. And this is a harsh business. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying that it's right, but he had a 1-year audition to be the man, and he didn't get it done. I think that's the best way to put it. I think if you talk to any Cubs fan, they would agree they were underwhelmed in the end with what Kyle Tucker had done for their team. And I know that there were problems all along that. He was dealing with a hand injury, then he was dealing with a calf injury, so like, that the team's fault? Is that his fault? We talk the injuries all the time here. We don't know who's at fault. We don't know the Volpe thing. Like, I don't know. He says it's not bothering him, but he probably has a torn labrum, but the team is not forcing this. Like, I don't know what the deal is. It's just all bizarre. Kyle Tucker's situation with the Cubs was equally bizarre. He has a terrible second half, probably a little bit longer than that. I think his slump started in mid-June, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Slump goes through the end of the year. He heats up for a bit there. And then postseason, a couple of really bad strikeouts in that series against the Brewers that tipped the scale. So, like, you look at that and you say, is that where I'm investing $400 million? And it's much like everything else in this league. It's what have you done for me lately? You saw Juan Soto and what he did for you lately last year. Up close and personal. He hit a home run that got you the World Series. He even performed in the World Series. He performed all year long, and he stayed healthy, and he was among the veteran voices in the clubhouse, and he was a great interview after games and in between. You don't know what you're getting with Kyle Tucker. So I think that's where the art, like, people need to understand the context of this argument. It's not like, yes, I think Kyle Tucker is the better player and like the bigger name and the more impactful free agency acquisition, but is he the better fit? Is he the safer investment? That's up for debate. So, like, yeah, if someone's arguing that, we talked about this at the end of the season show. Cody Bellinger, you can keep him. He could play first. He could play center. He could play left. He could play right. He could change his approach with 2 strikes. He could change his approach with 2 outs. I think there's value to that. I don't know if Kyle Tucker does not have those same capabilities. So if you're looking at spending potentially $250 fewer million to get a better fit where there's not that big of a difference in terms of offensive output, then yeah, I can understand the Cody Bellinger argument. But yeah, if we're going to sit here and say who's the better player, it's Kyle Tucker. He's 2 years younger. He's got more power at this point. He's a better base runner per the stats. He's potentially, he has probably equal amount of postseason experience as Bellinger at this point, given that all he's contributed with the Astros. So I think like that there's a lot of things here that you could argue, but like to say definitely one over the other, or to definitely just like ignore what the Yankees have been doing for the past 8 years and say, oh, no, that you got to get Kyle Tucker. There's no exception. It's like, when has there been an offseason outside of Garrett Cole where there was somebody available and you said, the Yankees absolutely have to get this guy, and they went out and they got that guy? There are zero. It was just Garrett Cole. They haven't done this. Because last year, I think we liked Max Fried, but we weren't like, the Yankees need to go get Max Fried.
At no point did I think they were getting Max Fried. I had him penciled into the Red Sox, or the Diamondbacks were looking at him. The Yankees were like in the grouping of 4 finalists. And I was like, well, that's interesting. The Blue Jays were looking at Max Fried. It was like, all right, that tells me something about the Yankees' plan. But at no point did I think they were getting Max Fried until it happened.
No. So the Yankees don't telegraph their intentions. They don't go after the obvious big names / fits anymore. And that's just the way it is. So to think that Kyle Tucker is potentially a foregone conclusion for the Yankees, or is the obvious choice over Cody Bellinger, it seems just like a short-sighted argument. That's my opinion on it.
And the reason that we're in the Kyle Tucker market now too is because Juan Soto thing didn't work out last offseason, and Mets fans who made it all, MLB fans telling on themselves, just you're always looking for a reason to make Yankee fans out to be crybabies. When Yankee fans were angry and aggrieved that Juan Soto left for the Mets last year, or left $765 million in the dust, what, 760 versus 765, like a negligible amount with all these bonuses. Yankee fans were upset and they were, acting scorn towards Soto, and people were like, why do you even care? Oh my God, he was there for like 6 months. Like, why do you even care? It's not like he was actually a Yankee. And it's like, we cared because now we don't have him, and now we have a hole to fill, and people are trying to talk themselves into other $400 million players to fill an unfillable gap. Like, the only reason we're talking Kyle Tucker is because he's like a plan B plus to Juan Soto. The Yankees will move on, and they did this season, and they made it further than the Mets did, and good for them. But long term, the reason the Mets paid what they paid for Juan Soto, and the reason we tried, is because there are no more Juan Sotos on the market for 8 to 10 years. It's not easy.
They don't come around often.
Yeah, it's fair to have been upset last year. Fair to still be upset now, because we're reckoning with it now. And everyone, of course, if your team lost Juan Soto, I think you'd be pretty upset too. But again, don't want to put words in your mouth. There aren't many Juan Sotos. There were a couple on the free agent market in 2019 in Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. Barely made plays for them. Bryce Harper has always been the white whale, but now he is 33 years old. He is coming off an injury-prone year. And in the way that you mentioned, Cubs fans were not satisfied with Kyle Tucker's one-year audition to be the man. Yankee fans are demanding. Again, there's a difference between great numbers and built for the moment. And Cubs fans called out Kyle Tucker for not quite being, that centerpiece. Bryce Harper, when he came to Philadelphia, especially all the way up to 2022 and probably 2023 as well, but 19 through 23 was the man, the centerpiece, the swing of his life, as Joe Davis said, to basically send the Phillies to the World Series in 2022. Since then, the Phillies haven't gotten further than that. They lost game 6 and 7 at home in the NLCS in 2023, an easy chance to get back to the World Series. If you want to run...
Those were both at home?
Yeah, if you want to laugh at the Yankees, getting through the Royals and Guardians to get to the World Series in 2024, sometimes the path is even easier than that, and great teams don't execute. The Phillies had a 2-0 lead in the NLCS against the 88-win Diamondbacks team or whatever, and went to Arizona, lost 2 out of 3. Bullpen blew, like Craig Kimbrell was terrible. They come home up 3-2. The offense does nothing in game 6 and 7. They've lost patience with Bryce in the 2 years since then, as they have been eliminated in the NLDS both times, and he has come up relatively small in the postseason. So that, among many other things, that changing narrative and the money owed to Bryce and the injury troubles and the fact that he's a first baseman now and not an outfielder has led to him being challenged by Dave Dombrowski in the end-of-year press conference, basically saying, is he still an elite player? And Joel Sherman this week theorizing, I'm not sure if he's a Philly on opening day. Now, he probably is. It's a lot of money to clear. Who knows what the return package looks like if he does get traded, or if he even comes up and talks, or how much money one team eats, the Phillies eat versus the acquiring team.
Eat it.
But that is why he's on the market. Like, he's, I would say, certainly done more winning and more leading than Kyle Tucker, but Yankee fans are harsh. Cubs fans are harsh. Phillies fans are harsh. This is a player who talks a big game, and he backed it up 3 years ago, but 3 years is a long time to Phillies fans. They are upset. You took Bryce Harper off their hands now, wouldn't be quite as meaningful as if you did it in 2023, or if you had preempted their free agent offer and signed him when he was Mickey Mantle incarnate, and you should have done it, Brian Cashman. So biggest Brian Cashman mistake of his entire tenure was not talking to Bryce Harper in 2019. Moreover, preempting Bryce Harper's free agency by getting Giancarlo Stanton the year before, right? So he pre-cut off the move that might have...
didn't save any money.
No, absolutely not. Never do. So 2019 Bryce Harper, I'm 1,000% on board. It's the biggest miss of this generation. 2025 6 offseason Bryce Harper, if you can get him to New York and you're willing to absorb that, look, I would take the chance. If he shows up in our lap, I'm not saying like, get him out of here. No, my God. Oh, I hate it. I don't like looking at it. But it's a different story. Objectively a different story.
Of course it is. I think that, again, problem with the Yankees is regular season stats. Oh, we had a top 3 offense. We had a top 5 pitching staff. Okay, great.
Weird.
It's good. You built a good team. What's the identity? Where are the vibes? Where's the character? Where's the chemistry? And that is the things you can't put your finger on, but you know are the factors that are probably at play. What does Bryce Harper do? Okay, you don't think Bryce Harper is as good as he once was, and you would be correct. Dave Dombrowski said it in the post end of season press conference, which got all of this in motion. He was questioning, literally wondering aloud, how many more elite seasons Bryce Harper has left. I have no idea. He's right to ask that question. He's right to be honest with the fan base. He's right to be candid with the media. He doesn't know. He would hope there is a couple more, but you look at Harper over his Phillies tenure, he has only played in 145 or more games twice since 2019. He's not played in more than 150 games more than once. It's only happened one time.
Yeah. I can assure Yankee fans they would be upset by that.
Correct. If you've been upset with Giancarlo Stanton's a little bit more of an extreme example, but you get what I'm saying. It's an impact player whose time on the field is inconsistent and doesn't lend to positive developments toward having a rhythm throughout the year, which is, again, where this team runs into some issues when the offense hits a valley and everyone's looking at each other to figure out who's going to bring them back from the dead. So, okay, Bryce Harper, he's been injured. He's had some problems, but you look at someone who is a leader. I think it's unquestioned that Bryce Harper has leadership qualities. You look at someone who is a team player on top of being a leader. He moved to first base to accommodate other players on this team. He paved the way for the team to get Kyle Schwarber. He has been, even though they haven't had in the beginning of his tenure, they didn't reach the playoffs for the first 3 years he was there, first 4 years he was there. They've been in the playoffs every year since then, and he has been very good. Overall, his postseason stats, 274 average 986 OPS in 57 games. That obviously includes 19 games of his time with the Nationals, but as you can see, that's still a 38 game sample size with the Phillies. Those are good numbers. That's a sign of somebody who steps up in pressure-packed situations and deliver. Now, he didn't deliver this year. There were some moments where he stepped up to the plate and he was blown away by fastballs and he couldn't keep up. Okay, it happens. We just saw Aaron Judge do that for a long time up until this offseason. But you look at someone like Harper and you look at, again, what the Yankees are going to do. What are the Yankees going to do? I don't know. Ask yourself every night before you go to sleep until the winter meetings. But if you trade for Bryce Harper and you take on the rest of the money of his contract, there's, I think, 6 years, $150 million left, and you offer to handle all that money for the Phillies, it probably lessens the price in a trade package because based on us reading in between the lines of what's going on in Philly right now, they want to clear payroll and they want to prioritize Kyle Schwarber. And they have a problem with Zach Wheeler after the thoracic outlet surgery. They're going to need another ace. So there's stuff going on. It seems like they believe that they can potentially get by without Bryce Harper. But The contract situation is an issue 1, and don't forget it, he has a no-trade clause. But where would he waive the no-trade clause? There is no doubt in my mind he would waive the no-trade clause to come to the Yankees. He wanted to be a Yankee. He was a Yankee fan growing up. He's commented on his free agency about the Yankees not courting him or speaking with him as if it was upsetting, regrettable, not fun. And I wouldn't blame him. If I was a professional player and my childhood team had no interest in me and I was arguably the best free agent on the market for a team that I'd fit like a glove with, I would be pissed off too. But you bring this full circle, you bring Bryce Harper in, you could probably bring Cody Bellinger back. You get 2 star veteran players for probably a combined somewhere around $300 million, maybe $275 million. You get 2 for the price of 1, essentially, with bypassing Kyle Tucker. You have Harper playing first. You have Bellinger playing all over the outfield. You are roving the DH spot between Judge, Harper, and Bellinger. Giancarlo Stanton's a free agent after 2027. Then you still have these guys taking over, and then you can again shuffle in the DH spot once more. This could be the offseason solution, guys. Just I'm not saying it definitively is, but again, you look at what's out there, you look at the prices, you look at how difficult it's going to be to trade. Just think Tarek Skubal trade. You want that? Okay, awesome. Expect to have nothing left after that happens. Everyone say, oh, yeah, well, historically, when you give up a pitcher in his walk year, he's going to cost that much. Tarek Skubal's a different pitcher than anybody who has been heading into a walk year. He is the most dominant pitcher of the last 5 seasons, the last 4 or 5 seasons. The Tigers they exist because he is this good. They are not giving him up without getting exactly what they want from any team. So expect that to be almost everything, every high asset you can imagine the Yankees have. So you can avoid, again, I'm thinking like the Yankees would. You can avoid gutting your entire farm system for a year of a pitcher. You can avoid paying $400 million for a guy who just didn't entirely prove it when he was supposed to be the one in a bigger market. And you can go after, yes, a little bit underwhelming, 2 players who are getting a little bit older, whose primes are in the rear view, but very much have enough in the tank to A, lead your team, B, step up in the postseason, and C, help form a more concrete identity for what this team needs when you're talking about playoff, crunch time, whatever. So you have a couple of these other players coming off the books eventually. You're going to be able to build around them. In 2-3 years, a $25 million AAV, guys, is just not going to be that much. It's going to be the new $18 million AAV. So if you have Bellinger and Harper on the books for the next 6 years, 5 years, it's not the end of the world. You'll be able to work around it. It's not going to be a death knell. We've done it with Giancarlo Stanton for this long, and he's been locked into a DH spot. So I think there's a lot. There should be a lot more here than, at least from a Yankees perspective, than I think what we're hearing right now.
And how Yankees would it be to not sign Harper when he's a free agent, then get the non-prime part of his contract? Don't worry,
we got the argument for me.
We got age 33 to 38. We did it. We did whatever. We saved half the contract. We got the worst part. I like Bryce Harper, but it would be funny. Hopefully, again, if Cashman has a rabbit in his hat, this is pretty good rabbit. There's conflicting information about how available he'll be, but I'm going to lean with Joel Sherman, who knows what he knows and is saying things for a reason. Hopefully we get to have a chance to dance here, continue to have this conversation. A couple of funny quick hits before the end of the show. Marlins interested in Devin Williams. Kevin Barrell of Fish on First reports that one name Miami plans to target is 2-time All-Star Devin Williams. Definitely a very generous descriptor of him. That's what MLB Trade Rumor said. Last night's Yankees group at the Knicks season opener, Aaron Judge, his wife, Cam Schlittler, who said fuck Boston while signing autographs for people in his car after the game, and Devin Williams. That was the trio. That's who we got. Anthony Volpe went to a ton of Yankee games last year. Maybe he couldn't make it, too hopped up on pain meds. They didn't want Volpe drooling in the front row, courtside at MSG yesterday, so they gave the ticket to Devin Williams instead. Maybe a send-off saying, hey, fun year, more fun than we thought it would be. Join us one more time before you go. Who the heck knows? I think there is a 0% chance Devin Williams comes back. a negative 10 trillion% chance the Yankees give him the qualifying offer and risk him trying to take a 1-year, $22 million bounce back in the Bronx, which he would take. Qualifying offer for guys, again, Devin Williams, no. Luke Weaver, no. Trent Grisham, probably no, but I would consider, I actually am like leaning closer to like 35, 65 there, because I still think he'll get a 3-year offer, even if we put this on his resume, right? So then you do it. You get the 4th or 5th round draft pick.
Do it.
Yay. And Cody Bellinger not eligible because they already placed one on him a couple of years ago. So that's interesting as well. Yeah, look, I don't know who Devin Williams is perfect for. There was a commenter on Baseball Insiders yesterday who was like, he is such a red. And I was like, God bless you for having such a broken brain that you could just say stuff like that confidently. I don't even know what that means. He's a perfect red. Like, oh, yeah, he could take the torch from Emilio Pagan. Like, I could totally see it. You know, the whole stadium at Great American Ballpark, blaring horns. Here comes Devin Williams giving up a 312-foot pop out to right field that somehow hits the seats. Spencer Steer throws his glove in agony. The whole crowd boos. Look, I don't know where Devin Williams is going, but I would lean that it's a team with like 4 closers that wouldn't name him the closer and would just let him be a part of that pocket. And I think it's probably the Dodgers still, especially after the way he closed the season. We know they were interested in him last offseason. But, hey, if the Marlins want to get involved, the Marlins want to try to give him closer money, I don't think he'd not listen. And the Marlins are on the up and up. They're almost a 500 team this year. They took their team picture in front of the Mets dugout for good reason. They eliminated them. They're a lot like the 2011 Orioles that eliminated the Red Sox and parlayed that into a playoff year in 2012, except for they were way better because that Orioles team was a last place, like 67-win team. The Marlins got close-ish to a playoff spot. So I believe in the Marlins this offseason, or they're going to trade Sandy Alcantara to the Yankees, one of the two. That would be a fun fit for Devin.
Yeah. It is a funny destination, though. It's funny. It's objectively funny. I know the Marlins booted the Mets from the playoffs, dude.
Deeply fun.
Yeah. So they are, and the way that they finished the season, they almost got better after the trade deadline, and they parted with some pieces. So remember, former Rays executive is now running the show over there, so they could be headed in the right direction. It's just funny to see that being like the first team interested in him, especially because if Devin Williams hit free agency after last year, the Marlins wouldn't be allowed anywhere near him. But this year, because the market kind of slipped with him and he had a roller coaster season in New York, I understand he finished strong. I think that there is I think he has plenty of career ahead of him, but like the Marlins just being the first team out of the gate again, when there's like essentially no free agency rumors, like I don't even consider Kyle Tucker and the Dodgers a free agency rumor. That has been a rumor for 2 years now. Oh, Kyle Tucker's gonna hit free agency. Should the Dodgers sign him? I guess. Like, yeah, they have the most money and he's talented. Sure. So a lot of these rumors that come out are just lip service to make sure that the big market teams are involved. Or to just start telegraphing intentions like, hey, this guy's going to make the most money and these 5 teams have the biggest payrolls. Here we go.
Yeah.
But this is like a real rumor. Like the Marlins are already doing their early due diligence on the free agent market. And they said, you know what, Devin Williams, come on down, buddy. And it would be funny to see him end up there. But I think that I think other contenders are going to want him. And I think other contenders are either going to be a softer landing spot than New York, or he might be more amenable to plopping down to a setup role or like more of a fireman, high leverage role for what, for example, a team like the Dodgers would need or maybe a team like the Phillies would need. So either way, it's funny to just see the Marlins involved here. I guess that's where their big expenditure is going to go. They're going to see if they could buy a little low, but still above market for a high leverage reliever.
He is such a red. And then one final point. We did a show about how the Yankees lost a free agent target off the
whole
board
show
already, with Kazuma Okamoto not being posted. Francis Romero reported from his sources were wrong. Okamoto is being posted. The Yomiuri Giants star, versatile first base, third base option, righty bat in a sea of lefties, would fit the Yankees well. Hideki Matsui informally works with his old team, the Yomiuri Giants, at funneling players to specific locations. The Yankees have a contact there. if the Yankees didn't really use Matsui in the Yamamoto chase, if they were interested in Okamoto, if they were interested in getting back into the Japanese market, which they should be, the Dodgers have a monopoly, but also no need for Okamoto. They probably will not be pursuing him. The Yankees certainly should. A righty with requisite pop, with success against high velocity, 94 plus mile an hour fastball. And you're not going, if you're adding a first base, third base outfield option, like he's going to start 100 games. They're going to find room for him. They're not out of spots. So yeah, it'll be something close to the Yoshida deal, like 5 years, 90 million, maybe even a little more, given that there's been inflation and people are appreciating Japanese talent a little bit more. And everyone was shocked. People shocked by the Yoshida deal. I don't think you should be shocked if Okamoto makes the same thing. For me, this is like a top 3 free agent the Yankees should be going after this offseason. We'll see if they agree, and now they'll get a chance to, because we have to take it all back. We're no longer upset that he's not available. He is available. It's official. So give him a look. Why not? Give us a chance.
I would like it. I would like it. Some more, just something else. Give me something else. I think Okamoto is something else. Don't know a whole lot, but you look at the player pro. It's a little bit of an all-around player profile, which I always like. And the Japanese craze, man. He's got this new wave of players coming over is the real deal. So look, I would love Masataka Yoshida on my team right now. I would take him off the Red Sox. Red Sox wanted to get rid of that contract apparently last year. I said, great, give him a call, Brian. See what it's going to take. Like, if they want all the money off, take all the money. The guy goes up and gets fastballs. He delivers in big moments. He's a hitter.
Two-strike hitter, gets overwhelmed occasionally by strikes 1 and 2, doesn't go down, line singles. Like, I've loved watching him.
Yeah, he's awesome. So, I mean, if Okamoto is even anywhere close to that or even a notch below Yoshida, it's a yes in my book.
Yeah. Well, now we get to have that debate, which we thought we might not get to. So good job by the Yomiuri Giants coming to that conclusion. Munetaka Murakami going to steal a lot of the headlines, probably going to the West Coast, but maybe Okamoto is your guy. Trivia from earlier in the show. Again, the League Championship Series MVPs from losing teams. 3 of them. Fred Lynn, the 82 Angels. Mike Scott and the 86 Astros, who dominated the Mets, and then they lost Game 7. And Jeffrey Leonard and the 1987 San Francisco Giants. Hasn't happened since. Probably not going to happen ever again. I think in the late 80s, someone was like, we got to stop giving these things to losers. And everybody's like, agreed. This is really weird that we do this. So it does not happen anymore, but it happened 3 times in the 80s. Hopefully the next time the Yankees win an LCS MVP will be as champions of the American League. I do not want a loser's prize, an MVP for going home early. The World Series begins tomorrow night. You can see us talking about it, presumably, on the Yanks Go Yard podcast next Monday and Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. You can read us writing about it on yanksgoyard.com or tweeting from Yanks Go Yard FS. Thomas Carranante, who you got? Blue Jays, Dodgers. I mean, the Blue Jays are going to put up more of a fight than we did last year. I think that's obvious.
Yeah, I am going to say Dodgers in 6. Everybody is, and this is not a Blue Jays hater stake. It's just the Dodgers have faced a lot of teams with the same profile as the Blue Jays. High contact, good defense, low strikeouts. Padres were one of those teams in 2025. Dodgers kind of laid waste to them in every big matchup. Diamondbacks were one of those teams. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but they were a half game away from a playoff spot, and then they just absolutely mopped the floor with the Brewers. You know what? The Blue Jays have less playoff experience than the Brewers over the last 6 years, and call the Brewers chokers what you want, one and dones. Like, this is the first year since 2016 that the Blue Jays are out of the wild card round. It was their first DS since 2016. I think the Dodgers starting pitching is too much to overcome. They're not going to be able to do, like, they got away with all these bullpen games against the Yankees and the Mariners. Simply not happening against the Dodgers. The Dodgers are, unless something drastic happens, but Blake Snell in Game 1, I mean, that's as big of a lock as I think you get, especially if Savage is pitching for the Jays. Yeah. But look, Jays could prove me wrong. They certainly can. They have home field advantage, I think, is what people might be overlooking. But I think that the middle part of the series, 3 in LA, it's not going to be easy to overcome.
I have Dodgers in 6 too. I'm glad you did all your analysis, so I didn't have to just copycat you with a pick. But I'll do the jerk fence sitter pick here too. We're talking one Roki Sasaki blown save away from tilting this in the Blue Jays' advantage, right?
Right.
A guy who on the road in the postseason, I expected him to face hostility and maybe struggle to match it. Philadelphia, he matched it. Milwaukee, he was terrible in game one. They got lucky that they were able to save that game. I do think the most likely outcome is the Dodgers winning this series in 6. If the Dodgers are going to win it, I hope they do it on Canadian soil. That'll be fun. But yeah, if Roki Sasaki struggles in the same way he struggled in game 1 of the CS, I don't think the Blue Jays will let him off the hook. I think they will win that game in either game 1 or 2. We might be talking 2-0 Blue Jays heading to LA or 1-1. The Jays really need game 1, and it's going to be really hard for them to get it with Blake Snell on the mound, super rested, Yamamoto looming, and Trey Savage, who, let's face it, got let off the hook in the ALCS, got beat around in game 2, made the Yankees look bad for being unable to hit him. And then in game 6, got out of bases loaded scenarios with miracle inning-ending double plays. And good job. Combination of luck and skill, but really dancing around trouble there. And I don't think it's that easy to dance against the Dodgers. The Mariners disappointed us in so many ways, but one of the ways they were most depressing was what how Yankees they were in scenarios with runners all over the bases.
Striking out,
swinging from the heels, grip it and rip it. Leo Rivas swinging like he's a home run threat. JP Crawford swinging like he's a home run threat. And yeah, a lot of Josh Naylor ABs that I would have preferred had gone differently. Let's just say that. So Julio Rodriguez, the last out of the series, swinging it 3 balls to exit the exit stage, right? And then presumably scream in the dugout, according to sources. So bummer, the Mariners are gone. I think the Jays will look way better than we did. If there is a blown save of Sasaki in the first 2 games, I think this could get tilted, but I'm saying Dodgers in 6 as well. Check back in with us on Monday. We'll know more. There'll be 2 games in the books. They'll be going to LA in the World Series. The Yankees will not be. What a shame. Their job to retool yet again. Can we get some postseason commodities on the roster? Maybe. Bryce Harper? Maybe. Tucker Bellinger? Maybe. Probably one of those 3 guys, though. We'll see you on Monday to talk more about what has transpired and any new rumors. Take care.